about all I got. I've been talking for 30 minutes. That's crazy. I feel like, okay. I was going to do this as an unedited look at all my ADD video, but I can't do that. Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Elle, and this is Elle's Reptiles. This week, we are talking about having ADHD and keeping reptiles. I did a video not too long ago about like just being disabled and reptile keeping tips for people that are disabled and may struggle with some of the things that I struggle with. And in doing that, I had a moment where I was like, maybe I should do ADHD too, but then I felt like that could be a whole different video. So here we are. Before we get started, this week's video is sponsored by iHeartGecko, so make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out all about this awesome company. Let's get started. Just to preface this, ADHD looks different for everybody. For me personally, I'm very impulsive, crazy impulsive. I am very distractible. A lot of distractibility. I thought I heard something. I get distracted very easily. I lose my train of thought nonstop because there's constantly other thoughts happening. I have a lot of anxiety, like a lot of social anxiety because of my ADHD. So since my brain is running a mile a minute, I'm constantly like what if I do something wrong? What if it's a lot. I also hyperfixate on a lot of things. So many hobbies, probably just textbook ADHD. So we're going to talk about ways that I have found that help with that. It's always so weird to talk about things like this. And it's very important to note, I was not diagnosed with ADHD until I was 26, 27, even though like within a week of me and my husband dating, he immediately knew within the first week. He was like, has anyone ever told you? And that was back in 2012. So it took a while for me to finally get to a therapist and be diagnosed. As of the past year and a half, I am no longer allowed to take medication for my ADHD, so it has been a struggle. So the first thing and the most important thing for me personally is lists. These to-do list, essentially, list of like things that I need to get, to-do list, any kind of list and every kind of list. So it's also very important for me to have lists in multiple form factors. So I have a whiteboard, I have apps in my phone, I have a paper planner that I use. That way it ensures that things get written down somewhere. So let's say that I am in here and I realize that next week will be the last time I have rats for my snakes. So I need to order them within the next couple days. If I don't write that down immediately, I'm going to forget to write it down. I'm definitely going to forget to do it. I'm definitely going to forget to write it down. Even writing things down in my notes app can get distracting because I'll pick up my phone and I'll immediately open TikTok. So having multiple stations of writing things down, jotting things down in list form is important. And that goes for to-do list as well. If I am in here doing maintenance and I realize that this snake needs water, which he does need water, by the time I am done doing whatever I was doing, whether it's feeding an animal, making gecko food, I'm going to forget that that snake needed water. I just have to write it down everywhere. And also in lists, I'm going to include like calendar reminders as well. Train of thought gone. Also in this list, I should just post this as an unedited video so you can see all of the distractions that happen. That'd be unbearable. So obviously I don't feed the snakes every single day. So I have a calendar reminder for the babies for once a week that'll come up and tell me to feed those snakes. For the adult snakes, once every 2 weeks. And those calendar reminders are very helpful. Also, not an ad, but a few months ago, maybe, no concept of time is also an issue I struggle with. I did a video about Reptiles, the app, and I still use that app. I don't think I used it last time I fed them. Like, it's just so fun. It's so fun. And so I don't forget that it's here. I don't forget to put it, except for, again, I did forget last time, but that was only one time. But I don't forget that it's here because I have my little trading cards. I clicked it. And like there's like feeding things, super fun. Another important thing for me is routines. So I need routine in order to do things, but I struggle to keep those routines, if that makes sense. But just a loose routine is very helpful for me. So I know that at nighttime, like once the kids are in bed, I play my game for a little bit, but when Den starts getting ready for work, I immediately start doing animal things. So just having that very loose routine of when he starts getting ready, I start spraying down tanks and feeding and doing things like that. That little loose routine is very, very helpful in not forgetting that I need to feed animals and I need to water animals. Just having those two things associated. If rigid routines are your thing, that's fantastic. If loose routines are your thing, that's also fantastic. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Just have something and it might help out. Also, I know how irritating it can be to be told to have a routine, but loose routines can be helpful. Next up is don't try to get everything done at one time, because that causes some crazy burnout and it can make you just not want to do anything. So I never just clean all of my tanks and feed all the animals and like do all the things in one day, because I cannot do that. I will get about an hour into that and not even an hour. I'll probably get about 30 minutes into that and realize how much more I still have to do, and then I just won't do it. This is one of the reasons that you very rarely see cleaning all my tanks sorts of videos for me, because I cannot do it in one day. This is also a reason that you don't see a lot of feeding all my animals videos, because I don't do it all in one day because I cannot. So kind of like I was saying before, I'll have calendar reminders to say feed the ball pythons and the corn snake on these days, feed the hognose and the king snake on these days, the geckos get fed on this day, and I make sure that they're like staggered. If I am cleaning water dishes, I'm cleaning all the water dishes and then I'm not doing anything else. I'm done with that thing. That's super helpful for me because I will burn out so fast. But on that same note, if you feel the strong impulse to get everything done in one day, then do it. Take advantage of that. Just don't put yourself at a standard that all of this has to be done in one day, but if you feel the need to do it, then go for it. Like if you start cleaning water dishes and you're like, you know what? I also want to clean substrate, then do that. Do whatever you have the fuel for. If you have the fuel for extra things, go for it. Just don't put pressure on yourself to do those extra things, if that makes any sense at all. Next one, impulse buying. So as I said at the beginning, one of the things that I struggle with is impulsivity. I will do things impulsively, essentially nonstop. And it is a struggle. It's very important to be mindful when going to places like reptile shows or going to the pet store or going wherever, to try your best not to impulse buy animals. Even if you have all the knowledge for animals, it's very easy to fall into a trap of being overwhelmed by those animals. I really don't have any tips on how not to do this other than just trying to be mindful of your own mental health and your own abilities and what you can handle, and not taking on more than you can handle. In the early days of my reptile keeping, I was always scrolling through Craigslist, looking at animals, and in my head, I'd just be like, oh no, I'm not gonna get anything. I just wanna look. But then you see like a really sad, poor animal, like this leopard gecko up here, and you just want to take them in because you feel so bad. And I just had to completely stop scrolling through Craigslist, going to reptile shows. For me, budgeting has been a huge thing for me in the past year and a half-ish. When I go somewhere, I have a budget. I have like a budget in mind that I cannot break that budget. That took a long time to click in my brain, but it has helped over time. I feel like there is no fast fix for this. Yeah, I just wanted to bring light to impulsivity and that will happen and does happen, and just to put it in the open, just put it into the world that is a thing that happens. And I wish you all the best on your struggle with impulsivity. If you have tips, leave them in the comments below. One thing that does help me though is ordering things that I need. So if I'm feeling super impulsive and want to buy a whole bunch of like reptile enrichment on Amazon, instead I'll go buy rats. Like I will realize, hey, my animals are getting low on rats, and I'll order rats, because getting a package in the mail for me, no matter if it's reptile enrichment or rodents, is just as exciting. So that's kind of how I fix that, I guess. And the last thing we're going to talk about is just cleaning enclosures. With ADHD, your brain wants happiness all the time. You want to do things that make you happy, you want to do things that make you feel good. Cleaning tanks, for me personally, is not one of those things. Some people find cleaning tanks so therapeutic. I don't. It's not the most fun for me. So that is why, in 100% honesty, most of the time you see water spots on my tanks, because it just doesn't sound like a fun time cleaning water spots. This is one though that you have to power through. You can't leave waste sitting around in your animals' tanks. You can't leave urate sitting around your animals' tanks. You can't leave food sitting around the animals' tanks. This kind of just goes into the other things, just not overloading myself with cleaning. So I may spot clean in the morning and then clean water bowls out at night, or just staggering things is helpful. It may not be helpful for you at all. The only way that you may be able to do it is to do it all at once, and that's totally okay. But for me personally, that's one of the ways that I have to deal with that, is by staggering things. This is also one of the big reasons that I have a big chunk of tanks that are bioactive, so that I don't have to worry as much about cleaning up waste. The cleanup crew does some of that, and it's so helpful. A way that I power through this is by understanding that if I don't clean up those old vegetables in that lizard's tank, then I'm gonna have a bigger problem later, and also things like mites are terrifying to me. So that's some good encouragement. But also, if you can, having someone just hang out with you while you do things like clean up tanks is so helpful. I'm used to being recorded. All right. But I look good?
Yeah, you look
You
good.
could like hold it up just a little bit and then kind of tilt it. There we
Like
go.
that?
That way you're not like staring up at my chins.
Okay.
Listening to audiobooks or listening to YouTube videos, putting YouTube up, that's what I do. Anytime I have to do anything, whether it's cleaning, watering animals, defrosting rats, doing my dishes in my kitchen, cooking dinner, I always am listening to audiobooks or watching YouTube videos, or if I can, scrolling through TikTok, but that one kind of gets a little cumbersome, like doing this scroll, it's a lot. Having some sort of entertainment while you're doing something that isn't fun can be so incredibly helpful. But that's it. That is all that I have for this week's video. Please, 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 if you can, if you feel comfortable with it, leave your ADHD tips in the comments below, because they can help someone else out, and they can also help me out, because again, this is the first time, well, I mean, for the last year and a half, I have not been medicated, and I've been like struggling through it and powering through it and trying to figure things out along the way. So if you have tips for me, please leave them down below. Like I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by iHeartGeckos. iHeartGeckos, awesome company. They allow you to very inexpensively turn glass tanks into front opening tanks, whether those are vertical tanks or horizontal tanks, no matter what size. They have so many different sizes of these kits. Yeah, they're just super easy, and they make your tanks look really, really nice, and they're easy to install. It literally takes like 10 minutes, and then you do have to let it dry, let that silicone smell air out, but then you're good to go, and they last for forever. My Girl Gecko's tank has been set up for about 3 or 4 years now, and it's still going solid. And make sure, if you do happen to order from iHeartGeckos.com, you leave Elle's Reptiles in the How Did You Hear About Us box. That way they know that you guys are coming from here. Thank you so much to iHeartGeckos for sponsoring this video. If you have not already, please feel free to follow me on my other socials and like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications every single time I put out a video, which is some Sundays and some shorts on some Wednesdays. This week's Instagram shout out is here, and this week's shout out is here. Thank you so much for liking, following, subscribing, commenting, and sharing, and all that jazz. You are the bee's knees. This week's, wait, did I do that? Yep. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye. Oh, actually, that's good. That's good. Okay. Good morning. Nope. Put my phone down. And it's very important to note, I guess we'll just add this, maybe. I don't know. I was not diagnosed. Yeah, I just got distracted talking about, okay, so impulsive. I'm very distractible. Luckily, okay.